So the age-old question, should I rent or should I buy?
It depends.
I agree with that answer. Like, as a real estate investor, I'm like, it's always a good time to buy. And it's always a good and it's always a bad time to buy, right? Like, you need to make sure the market's right for you. And the same thing goes with renting versus purchase, right? Like, it depends on what you need. Like, the sooner you start building equity, the more you're going to build equity. But it was recently, within the past couple of weeks, I was talking to people and they're like, they just bought 6 months ago and they want to sell their house and buy a new house. They put $30,000 down. And I had to walk them through, okay, well, you bought your house for this much. If you use an agent or if you don't use an agent, you're going to be giving some money to someone for something. But most likely, if you sell now, even though you came in with $30,000 down payment, it's gone.
Yeah, you're going to lose that money.
Yeah.
So why do they want to sell?
They want to buy their parents' house.
Oh.
So they really wanted to keep that house and buy the next house. I was like, well, what's your down payment? What's yours, right? And so this is a good argument for renting because if you are moving a lot,
yes,
houses take a little while. And my rule of thumb, which is just mine, is like you need at least 2 years in a house before you are going to break even on a normal sale situation. Like, granted, you sell it to a friend, you don't pay any costs, you don't pay any commissions. Like, maybe you can realize the full value, but this is just like cashing out a retirement account or something like that. Like, there's penalties. Whenever you're exchanging a thing of value for another thing of value, there's a cost.
Yeah, and I think that it's important to know that some of the times as realtors we can negotiate a little bit of those costs. Like if you are selling a house and then buying a different house, then our cost could be less, or we can use
if you're handling both transactions.
Yeah, if we're handling both transactions, if the cost could be less also for title companies because they're doing the same job for the same person, and so it kind of makes it easier. Or if the other person, the buyer or seller, use the same title company, then there is a discount in there. So there are a little discounts here and there that you can use. But if you're if you're buying the house, then it's usually what the sellers are doing that you need to mirror to get those discounts. But if you're renting, if your option is, well, I got married and I want to buy a house because that's what you do when you get married, and it could be a good thing, but if what you're studying or your time in college has not finished, or that you're gonna have to go to a different place, then it might not be what you need right now. Right. It might be renting.
Well, the other thing is like a lot of people hate HOAs or the 55 plus community, and like it's all about what you want. Yeah. Most of my rentals are in HOAs. And because I don't have to worry about maintenance, I don't have to worry about the lawn, I don't have to worry about this. Same thing with renting. Like, do you have control? Absolutely not. If you want to go paint the whole thing, you need the landlord's permission. It's not your house. However, when the pipe breaks and floods and ruins the carpet and break the cabinets and everything, and then you're like, well,
it's all the landlord, and that is another of the pros of renting, that you don't have to be aware of what's happening. I mean, you can be aware to tell your landlord that is happening, but you don't have to pay anything extra because the furnace went out. Or
actually, this is a really good lead, depending on the contract.
Oh, yes. Yeah. There are some contracts that tells you if the improvement or fix-up is more than certain amount, then it's our part. But if it's less than that amount, it's all yours. You get to use it and do it. Yeah.
So there was a deal I knew about where the renters were looking to do seller financing. They wanted to buy the house. Okay. And so as part of that, to do discounted rent, the landlord said, okay, well, you're starting into it, so any repairs under like $7,000 are your responsibility. Well, something went out. I can't remember. I think it was a water heater, $1,500. Tenants didn't have the money. So
did they start washing their clothes in cold? And
no, the landlord replaced it and then raised the rent because you got to be aware because this isn't like legal or an ethics class right now, but really, 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 contracts can be very broad in their scope. So make sure you're reading through that. Like, what's due up front, what's due and move out, how much is their deposit, how much does the landlord get to keep, and why.
One of the things that I've seen right now is that because a lot of people are selling their properties, they're doing either a 1031 or moving their money to a different way of investment. I've seen contracts for people that are living there that are being ended before because of them selling the property. And I don't know. I don't think that's legal.
So
I
we
think they
can't
need
give legal
to-
advice, but in
Yes.
general, contracts exist chronologically. So the way the purchase contract is written is if there's a long-term lease agreement, the purchase contract is subject to that. So if the purchase contract possession is transferred before the lease agreement is up, the tenants get to stay. And I've seen multiple times when landlords, hey, we're selling, you got to leave.
Yeah, this week alone, I've seen 2 cases, and I always tell them all to ask them about, if they can buy you out of the contract, but I mean, really, it's your lease and you get to keep it. Or I've seen also places where they're like, well, because we sold the property, we're going to increase your rent. And that's another thing that, that might not be a good thing for you if you're renting, because you're subject to all those changes and you need to be aware of what's happening, and you need to get advice, legal advice from somebody that can help you on that. Definitely.
So even so, like rentals give you a lot more flexibility to move and stuff. There's still things you need to look at. So depending on your landlord, I had a tenant once want like a 5-year contract and say, I want cheaper rent because look, I'm going to be here for longer. And I was like, I don't care. I plan on raising the rent every year anyway. So it doesn't serve me. But the other thing is, like, you get in a 5-year contract, it's a 5-year contract. If you want to break it, that needs to be unilaterally agreed to. Both parties need to come in and say that. So they can't tell you to take a hike.
Yes.
And you can't tell them you're out of it without penalty.
Yeah. Be aware of what's good for renting and what's not so good as well. And same thing when you're buying, you have to be aware of, especially if you're buying an investment property, you need to be aware of what's happening with the contract that they have, if they have certain deposits, if you're going to get those deposits, if, how is that accounting that it's going there. You need to figure out in advance as part of your due diligence that you need to know.
No, and then check out, it's really common for terms of the contract to change when they go from long-term to short-term. Like when this contract ends, it goes to month to month. But like as soon as it goes month to month, you surrender your whole deposit. Or like there's all kinds of things like that. So read the contract.
Yes.
And then just look at the implications, because buying a house, you're gonna be picking up equity, but all the responsibility is there too.
There too.
If the market crashes and you lose its value, like maybe you can talk the seller, the bank into a short sale, but the original agreement is you're borrowing this money to pay for the
that
house.
amount, for that house.
And it doesn't say if the value goes down, we are going to cut the amount too. So anyway.
No, there are possibilities, and depending on what you're looking for and what are you doing in the future, it's a planning moment to see if you decide to rent or decide to buy. So yeah.
If you have questions on what's best for you, you're welcome. Just shoot us a message, leave a comment.
Yeah. And we'll let you know what would be best for you in our experience and what is happening also around.
The market you're looking at makes a difference.